up, motherfuckers? um, I made a video about masculinity that I'm gonna upload soon. But someone in the comments, I forget who it was, I'm sorry, someone asked me on one of my other videos, they said, Hater, how do you feel about Harry Styles wearing a dress? You know what I'm saying? Now, for all those of you that don't know, Harry Styles is like the lead singer or whatever of One Direction. And he was on the cover of Vogue magazine. I believe he's the first male to ever pose on the cover of Vogue magazine by himself. So to honor this, I guess, he decided to wear a dress. Now, here's the thing, right? What does the hater think about this? Let me tell you this, all right? If you're a guy and you want to wear a dress, be my guest. You know what I'm saying? It's your life. Wear whatever you want, man. If you want to dress up as a horse, wear whatever you want. You know, I don't think people should be so upset at this or anything like that. But I will say that personally, I'm not a fan, right? And what I mean by that is when I see it, I don't think this is like clever. I don't think it's, edgy. I sure as shit don't think it's cool. And that's the problem that I have with it. Like, they present this, Hollywood, whoever it may be, right? People present this as cool, right? And because it's on the cover of Vogue, and because it's getting mainstream attention, both negative and positive, it's supposed to be this kind of like, rebellious moment, right? And it's supposed to be just accepted as cool. That's the problem that I have with it, right? You want to wear a dress, bro. Nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to wear a dress myself. And if my son, when I have one, hopefully, if he says, Daddy, I want to wear a dress, I'm not going to want my son to wear a dress because I want to raise my son to live in a way where he is comfortable with himself, but also doesn't make himself a target for no reason, especially if he does so for attention, right? And this is obviously that. Like, it's just a dude, Harry Styles, as far as I know, he's supposed to be the main guy. He's clearly the front man of One Direction. I've seen a video of One Direction here and there, and he was always the guy in the front, like he's singing in the end. He has the main parts. He was the front man of One Direction, right? But it just so happens that a few of these other One Direction jabrones seem to have surpassed him. So it's like, how do you keep yourself relevant? I know I'm gonna wear a dress, and that's the issue that I have with it. It's like, if he was like some gay dude, or if he was like some cross-dresser, or hell, even if he was a straight guy that likes to wear dresses, and that was like his thing, all right, man, be my guest. You know what I mean? Like, Dennis Rodman was cool as shit back in the 90s, right? Dennis Rodman, one of the best defensive players in basketball history, in my opinion, right? Dennis Rodman was like definitely eccentric. He was over the top. He had these weird like hairstyles. He had a lot of piercings, tattoos when tattoos weren't popular. He definitely stood out, right? And that was how he was. He was like that the entire time. That was just what he liked. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. Like, back in the day, people don't remember, but back in the day, people look at Dennis Rodman like he was a freak. Now Dennis Rodman would be like just a normal guy. Like, you could go to like Starbucks and he could be your barista. You know what I'm saying? So I have no problem with Harry Styles wearing a dress if that's what he wants to do. My issue just comes with two things. One, does he feel compelled to wear this dress in order to stay famous or whatever the case may be? And two, I don't want this to be presented as cool to me because I don't like when things are forced down my throat as cool or not cool. I can determine what's cool and what's not cool. I don't need Vogue to tell me that a man in a dress is cool, right? That's the issue that I have with it. It's like, and we find ourselves in this situation because this somehow intersects with like the LGBTQ community. I don't know how it does, to be honest, but let's say it does, right? Because it has that cover on it, for some reason, people cannot criticize Harry Styles for wearing a dress. The same way that people are allowed and should be allowed to say, hey, the fact that Harry Styles wore a dress is good. I like it, right? People should also be able to say, I think it's fucking whack. People should be able to say it's feminine. It's obviously feminine, right? It's effeminate. You're a man wearing a dress. Basically, you're giving off the image of, I want to dress like a woman. And if that's the image you want to give, be my guest, man. I don't think that's cool. I don't think it's cool to do the opposite of what's normal in order to present yourself as different, right? You know, he's not a cool dude. Like, first of all, he's not a cool dude just by looking at him. He's like a nerd, you know? He's got that nerd face. You know, he was always like this guy. When I remember seeing a video of One Direction, I'm like, why is this guy in a boy band? Like, this guy's not like cool enough to be in a boy band, you know? And that's not even that high of a standard to be in a boy band, to be cool in a boy band. Like Lance Bass was in a boy band. Joey Fatone was in a boy band, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So my only issue, specifically with Harry Styles, is that he's, I think, doing this in order to get some form of attention. And if that's the case, I have zero respect for him. He's not cool at all, and nobody should emulate anyone that's kind of like whoring out, you know, for fame whoring, right? So that's something that I cannot get behind myself. Now, the other side of this coin is the general trend that I'm going to talk about in my masculinity video, which talks about how men are being emasculated, in my opinion, right, by mainstream media. You know, you can see this everywhere, right? There's this general push to emasculate men. Now, it's also possible that a lot of these Hollywood weirdos are just emasculated men, you know, for whatever reason. Maybe like that's the people that are attracted to the performing arts, you know? That's always been a theory anyways, right? So if that's the case, that's the case. But don't push that to the mainstream culture, right? The mainstream culture for a long time didn't get their cues from Hollywood, right? And if they did, Hollywood represented the average person. The average man out there is not okay with wearing a dress. Whether that makes them a homophobe or whatever is neither here nor there. The point is, average men look at Harry Styles and they think to themselves, what a pussy, right? That's what people think, you know? Whether that's right or wrong, again, another story. That's the reaction people have. So instead of like acknowledging that reaction, instead of saying, for example, wow, Harry Styles is so brave that he is going completely against the grain, right? And most men are going to think he's a bitch, but he's going to do it anyways. The narrative instead becomes, most men are insecure. Like Harry Styles and the 4 other guys in dresses are the ones that got it right. The rest of us, the 99% of the world who thinks this is fucking weird, we're the ones that are backwards. We're the ones that are not catching up with progressiveness, right? It's those 5 guys that are wearing dresses. Those are the ones that we should take our cues from. No, fam. How about Harry Styles takes a cue from the hater? How about Harry Styles takes a cue from Lars Henry or AJ2000? You know what I'm saying? How about Harry Styles takes a cue from a normal person who's like, yo, this is fucking weird. Like, why are you wearing a dress, bro? Like, explain to me. Like, that's all I want. If there was one question I could ask Harry Styles, it would just be, why are you wearing a dress? And I would like, personally, that Harry Styles would give an answer that made sense. You know, like an answer that made sense, for example, could be, I wanted attention. Okay, I don't like it, but it makes sense. But if he has no answer, right, if he's just this mysterious, like, sometimes I wear a dress because I'm weird like that, then you're fucking weird, man. And people should be able to point at you and say you're fucking weird, and if they want to laugh at you, they can laugh at you. If they want to call you a sissy, they can call you a sissy. The same way that the other side can point to him and say, wow, what a brave icon he is, right? The standard for bravery has gone down so low that even the biggest pussies in the world are now considered brave for doing the most pedestrian and whorish of acts, right? This brings me to another point. Recently, not so recently, I guess, but I think I mentioned this before, Dwayne Wade's, I don't even know, I think it's like his son now identifies as a girl or some horseshit like that, or maybe the girl identifies as a son. I don't mean horseshit to trivialize the situation. I mean horseshit like I don't even know how many kids he has or who they are, so I don't know why this is important. But nonetheless, his kid, who's not famous, is just by virtue of being Dwayne Wade's kid, is transitioning genders, right? And Dwayne Wade goes on like Ellen DeGeneres or some other program and just advertises this. He says, my son or my daughter is now my daughter or my son. They're switching genders, right? And you know, he gets a standing ovation and that's all good, right? Then rapper Lil Boosie just goes on this rant, right? And amongst the things he says on the rant is, don't cut, it must have been a son, because Lil Boosie says, don't cut your son's dick off, right? Now, Lil Boosie saying that is not necessarily the most wholesome of things to say, right? But the reality is that Dwayne Wade, much like Harry Styles, right, went out on TV, went out in the public eye, and presented this fact, right? So when you do that, when Dwayne Wade says, my son is now my daughter, right? And he does this on Ellen DeGeneres or wherever the fuck he did it, right? That gives me and everyone else carte blanche to discuss this openly, right? Dwayne Wade cannot then say, how dare you criticize my son or my daughter, whatever, right? How dare you have an opinion on something that I advertised on TV? No, fam, that's not how it works. If you want me to stay out of your business, keep it to yourself, right? It's as simple as that. If you want to put it in the public eye, then I don't give a fuck. I feel no shame and I feel no embarrassment talking about it, right? It's the same thing in wrestling, right? I remember one of the few things that I actually have to agree with Dave Meltzer on, right? When Peyton Royce was gaining weight, right? She gained like a few pounds. I mean, she was still like in great shape, but she gained a few pounds. Dave Meltzer was like, yo, she's gaining some weight. I don't know how I feel about this, right? And the smarks jumped down his throat like you think he said like, I hope she dies, right? And it's like, dude, I get it. It's not appropriate to talk about women gaining weight or even men gaining weight for that point, right? However, Peyton Royce is a public figure, and Peyton Royce goes out there in skimpy clothing, right? The implications being, look at me, I'm attractive, right? So if something doesn't agree with that, if Dave Meltzer is like, whoa, you're presenting yourself as I'm super attractive, but you've gained some weight, maybe this is going to damage your career, right? He should be able to say that without people jumping down his throat and being like, how dare you say this about my Peyton? You know what I mean? That kind of horseshit, right? Now, again, people can have their opinions, right? People can have an opinion about what I'm saying, and I welcome that too. But there's reasonable and there's unreasonable, right? That's all I'm saying. So you have Harry Styles. Is it reasonable for him to wear a dress? I don't know, maybe. I don't know why he did it, you know? All I know is that this sends a message that I don't even want to call the wrong message. Because who am I? You know what I'm saying? Who the fuck is the hater to determine what is and is not the right or wrong message, right? It's a message that I don't agree with personally, but it might be the right message. Maybe I'm the one who's ass backwards, right? But what it does certainly do, because we like facts here on the Hater Channel, what it certainly does do is it gives off the message that is not supported by the majority of people. And that's kind of the problem. The majority of people thinks that's fucking weird. I'm sure the majority thinks that's gay. I'm sure the majority thinks that's pandering, right? Whatever, like, the majority has a lot of negative opinions about men in dresses, right? And the only issue I have is how the minority of people, these like weirdos, in my opinion, that wear dresses, right? Just to be like famous. These people then look at me and you, they look down, maybe not you, but they look at me for sure. They look down their nose at me, right? And people like me, and they think and say things like, oh, hater, you must be a bigot because you don't think it's brave to wear a dress. You know, and I resent that on a personal level because I'm allowed to have an opinion, especially if my opinion is in the majority, right? That's incongruous with the minority opinion that you're trying to shove down my throat. Now, let's mention one more thing before we go. I saw the one picture of Harry Styles in a dress. I'm obviously not going to go scroll through that garbage, right? But he fucking looks like shit. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing, you know? Like, it's one thing if you're like a dude, right, who might look good in a dress. Who the fuck knows who that would be, right? Maybe like Dolph Ziggler, you know what I'm saying? If you're a dude that would look good in a dress, you know, fine. All right, I guess there's a charm there, right? But he's like this skinny little jabron with hairy armpits, an unattractive face, a shitty haircut, and now he's in a dress. It's goofy. It's ridiculous, you know? There's certain people, right? Like if you take someone that's not like an attractive thing, right? If you take someone like, I don't know, Kane, right? Kane has never been known, using a wrestling reference, Kane has never been known for being this pretty boy type, right? Now, if you take Kane and you put him in a dress, it's inherently comical, versus it's different if you take, I don't know, like I said, Dolph Ziggler, right? Who's supposed to be this pretty boy, or like a John Morrison, or Shawn Michaels. If you think Shawn Michaels, put him in a dress, it's like, oh, like some people might be turned on by that because they're fucking weirdos, because Shawn Michaels is at least attractive, right? But when you take something that's so incongruous, right? You take someone that's not attractive or someone that's very masculine, right? You know, and you put them in a dress, you're like, oh, something doesn't fly here. It can even be someone that's very attractive, but just in a very masculine way, right? So if you were to take like Gerard Butler, right? Someone like that, and you put him in a dress, people would be like, what the fuck? That's weird. That guy's not feminine at all. Like he's a dude. You know what I'm saying? He's a dude. Why is he in a dress? Now, Harry Styles definitely doesn't fall into that high masculinity level. Sure as shit does not. But he falls into that does not look good at all in a dress level, you know? Just looks weird, looks strange, looks like a bad decision has been made, right? And there's no way that the people around him, his stylists and whatever the fuck that he's got, right? They looked at him and they said, this is a good idea. You look good in this dress. Probably what they thought was, this is a good idea. You're going to get some coverage looking like a weirdo in this dress. And you know what he did? He did it, motherfucks. He bent over and he did it. You know what I'm saying? He took the humiliation in order to get some fame. That's my only issue with it, specifically with Harry Styles. And then I have my cultural issue that I mentioned a few minutes ago. The specific issue is he did it, and again, it's possible that I'm wrong, and he really wants to wear dresses, and if that's the case, be my guest. I ain't here to judge that, right? But in my opinion, he did it for some sort of celebrity. He did it to stand out and get the competition going, which he has, right? And that's something that I can never respect. That's the kind of guy, that's the equivalent of that kid in middle school, right? Who will run into the wall to get a few laughs, right? The kid that will go bully another kid in order to become more popular, right? It's that kind of insecurity. It's that kind of the intolerable kind of individual, right? That kind of person that makes you think like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? You know, this guy needs a lesson to be taught to him, like about self-respect. You know what I mean? Now, if again, I emphasize, if Harry Styles feels like his self-respect has not gone down at all from wearing a dress, hey, good for him. You know what I'm saying? Good for him. Maybe next he can do something even more weird. You know, good for him, man. If there's a market for it, do it, motherfucks. Do what you gotta do. However, in my opinion, right, if you don't think something is cool and you don't think something is good and you portray it as cool and good, you are a piece of shit. You are out there, right, putting forward something that you don't agree with in order to raise your own status. And you know what we call that, motherfucks? We call that being a whore, right? And the hater does not like whores. So to the person that asked how I feel about Harry Styles, I hope that this video illuminated you into how I feel about Harry Styles. In addition to the rest of you that probably don't give a fuck how I feel about Harry Styles, I hope this video provided some sort of insight and perhaps some comedy along the way, motherfucks. You know what I'm saying? I never even liked Harry Styles. I don't know much about One Direction, but Wikipedia told me one time when I Googled Liam from One Direction that apparently he's like a superhero, right? This guy's been saving lives left and right. Look him up on Wikipedia, motherfucks. So I like him more than the Dress Boy, you know what I'm saying? And then we have other issues which will be addressed in my masculinity video. But anyways, yeah, upcoming videos. I'm going to watch Raw tonight. I'm going to review it if it's good, but like if nothing special happens, I might not review it. But don't worry, I'll have a lot of videos in the pipeline. I'll have a lot of videos that I've recorded. I just haven't uploaded for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know, probably preference, motherfuckers. Probably preference. Maybe next time you will see the lover in a dress or some shit like that. Who the fuck knows? Or maybe the hater in a dress. But anyways, until next time, motherfucks. You know what I'm saying?